Welcome, everybody, to the LIPSEY'S Aim Higher podcast. Across from me, Jason Klossner, and to my left, Dale Luke. What's going on? Oh, I love starting the show with a laugh. It's good for the soul.
It's kind of our normal routine.
So we got some ground to cover today. It's Veterans Day week, and we're doing something special with FN, and they were kind enough to ship us some guns to play around with, some new stuff and you know, some really, really cool stuff. We got to go to the range, so we're going to talk about FN and some of the guns we shot. Also, we want to talk about NASGW that was recent. Yep. We want to dive into that too. So a lot to cover today. So Jason attended the show. And for those of you who don't know, NASGW stands for the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers. I got that out.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. It is. So for us, it's an industry organization really focused around distributors. And there's a show, there's a lot that goes on during the year, but there's one big show a year that you attended. So we can kind of start there. Then we'll dive into some of these guns. We got some range time in, and we definitely want to talk about that. But so Jason, kind of coming off of that, that's usually a big deal. It's a precursor to SHOT Show. Mm-hmm. We start to find out it's really kind of, especially recently, with the kind of years, you know, now that we're into that we've had, it's a precursor to maybe what's to come, or maybe what's to come at SHOT, or maybe what's to come in the industry. Obviously, a lot of government secrets there that we can't talk about, but I know there is some stuff that you can talk about, and let's cover that. So talk about the show a little bit.
Well, the show is traditionally really the first, I think, peak at the next year.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we'll see the new programs. You see usually a peek of what the new guns that are coming, what's maybe being discontinued, and so you can plan. Because if you wait until the end of the year, it takes time to get all this stuff set up and on order and scheduled out and all this kind of stuff. So and we didn't have it last year, much like all shows got canceled last year. So this is really the first industry show since everything got shut, since SHOT of 2020.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen. It's funny, some of these guys that I haven't seen in 2 years, it's like, man, you have the Unabomber look going here for, you've been holed up in your cave. So
a few extra pounds, a little more beard.
Yeah, it's like extreme. Some guys are like,
hair.
man, you lost a person and some gained it, know. But no, it was good to see everybody. I mean, obviously the show, the energy was really high. Yeah. I mean, people were glad to be back out. Lots of new products. Yeah. I mean, it's, everybody's anticipating that we're going to come off of these, historical highs of demand and everything. But I think everybody does anticipate that it will plateau at a higher level than it was when we started all this. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of good outlooks and prospects for 2022. Lots of new products. Yeah. I think everybody knows that in order to keep the momentum going, the stuff that has been really sitting on the shelf, just on the back burner, waiting to be launched for the last 2 years, is finally going to see the light of day.
Because we've really been in this mainline production rhythm, I guess, for so long now. I mean, it's really been a while.
Well, we've seen two things. For one, the first, we haven't really seen anything new introduced.
Right.
And secondly, even the catalog stuff that's been along forever, the stuff that was maybe a little harder to make, or the stuff that took more resources, or the stuff that was a little slower selling, they haven't made any of that stuff in 2 years.
Right.
So even stuff that maybe was kind of boring and vanilla, for the last 10 years, now there's 2 years of pent-up demand.
Right.
So once they start laying off maybe AR-15s and polymer 9mm and start spreading off, start making revolvers again, bolt-action rifles, stuff like that, it's going to take a while just to get all that demand covered, in addition to all the new stuff that's coming out.
Right, it's a big pipeline to fill.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. There's a lot of ground to make up for sure.
Mm-hmm. Right. So,
what about the workforce? Are you hearing from our manufacturers? The workforce is coming back? Or
it is. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Labor is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
Just getting enough people to come in.
Yeah.
To man this stuff. And let's face it, it's not like a lot of industries where you can plug in somebody real quick.
Sure. And
get them up to speed. I mean, it takes time, and it's pretty stringent for the background checks and everything else.
Sure.
You can go through all the process, and you got a guy that looks great on paper, and then he does his background check, and he can't be in a place that manufactures firearms.
Yeah.
And so now you got to start all over again.
Yeah.
So it's just been a challenge.
Kind of remains a challenge.
Yeah, and the pipeline, the whole supply chain thing is real.
And every facet of life.
It is.
Honestly.
And fortunately, several of our bigger manufacturers do control a lot of their own production. It's all in the U.S., so they're a little bit insulated. But a lot of manufacturers do rely on stuff that comes in from overseas. It might be a small part, it might be a magazine, it might be a spring, whatever.
Right.
And if that stuff's sitting on the ship somewhere off the coast of L.A. and they're waiting on it, it's tough.
Yeah.
So you feel like it's raw materials coming in to manufacture everything overseas and on abroad?
Absolutely. And let's face it too, raw materials prices have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And when they're trying to plan for build schedules and everything else, it's tough. I mean, you gotta try to factor your pricing in.
Yeah.
You don't know where steel's going to be today, much less tomorrow.
Right.
And all this other stuff. Just the cost of a shipping container itself. Is gone. I read something the other day where a shipping container, just the container that everything's shipping overseas, was about $3,500. But lately they've been going for about $25,000. So just the cost of the container itself is way more, and that's not including what the price of the stuff is inside it.
Sure.
So that can determine too if they make something or not. You might say, such and such manufacturer hasn't made this model. Well, maybe because they'll lose money if they make it.
Right.
The cost, they've already priced it out. There's an established price point for this gun.
Yeah. If
we go make them with the cost that we're into it now, we'll have to wrap a $100 bill with every one we ship out.
Sure.
They're not going to do it.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. But new products nonetheless. That's the highlight.
Yes.
That's the exciting thing.
Anything we can get into.
Well, the biggest one, and it's out there, is the Springfield 1911. The Springfield High Power.
Oh, yeah.
The SA-35.
Right.
I mean, that gun, I have not seen the excitement for a new gun like that in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, my phone blew up the first 2 days that they introduced that gun from industry friends, writers and stuff. I need one.
Yeah.
I got to have one.
Yeah.
Can you get me one? I mean, they totally knocked it out of the park. I saw that gun, I guess, about a year ago. We were at Springfield, and they were showing us some stuff, and they said, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" I mean, seriously,
right.
Not only the gun itself, the price point.
Well, and that was the thing when we looked at it. I'm like, "Man, this is awesome!" And all the improvements they made on that gun, they did everything right.
Yeah.
And they said, "What do you think the price should be?" And I gave them a number, and they just kind of smiled, and I said, "More," and they go, "Oh no, less." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
And MSRP $699 on that gun.
Oh, geez.
It's priced comparable to a lot of the polymer frame auto pistols that are out there that are so prevalent.
Right.
And to have a classic gun like that fixes all the traditional problems that a high power had. We don't want to say problems, but things that people felt like they needed to upgrade. It's already done. It's all forged. It's made in America.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no
reason not to get one of those guns.
Right.
So anyway, that was a big one.
Yeah.
There was a lot of interesting stuff that's not been introduced yet that we looked at.
Yeah.
I will say this: 2022 will be another year of the 10 millimeter for all you 10 millimeter fans.
Oh, wow.
Myself included.
Yeah.
So there will be lots of new options there that I think people will really dig. So that's going to be cool. Saw a couple new cartridges that are going to be introduced.
I had one of Jason's 10 millimeters in my hand last week, and fun to shoot, man. I'll tell you what, it's got a little mule kick to it though.
It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's the 10 is never been hotter than it is right now.
Yeah.
It's more popular than 45s I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And for all the people that are really taken to the outdoors now and the backpacking crew, the backcountry hunter guys, the days of carrying 50-plus ounce 44 Magnums and 454s are really starting to wane, and guys are going to lighter weight, higher capacity 10 millimeters.
It's really a fun gun to shoot, shooting.
It is.
Yeah, it's nice.
Is. So
in the right package, it can be a fun gun to shoot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it really wasn't that bad, but we were shooting a 9, and then we were, and then you kind of jump up to that. It's like,
that's the problem.
This is different,
right? You see, there's two ways to look. So people who are used to shooting 9 millimeters and 38s, they shoot a 10 and go, "Oh man, this is way more."
Yeah.
But then there's the flip side. There's the guys who've been shooting heavy 44 Magnums and heavy 357s and all this other kind of stuff. They go shoot a 10 millimeter and go, "Oh wow, this is awesome."
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. It's easy to shoot. It's easier to reload. It's optics ready, all this kind of stuff. So it's really, it depends on which perspective you're coming from, whether the 10 is abusive or a pussycat to shoot.
Right, absolutely. The whole premise behind the 45, the FBI, the 10 millimeter, kind of all of that, right? I mean, I could see that little bit of difference yesterday. Well, I had your 1911, but 1911 is a pretty stout gun too. I could see the difference though. So when you're talking about, say, a duty pistol, there's definitely a difference in the two. So.
Sure. Well, and the ammo that you were shooting out of that 10 was the hot stuff.
Yeah,
it was
more
pretty
stout.
it was heavily loaded.
It was the horsepower.
Fun to shoot though. It really was. So no, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but well, speaking of guns, we got to again, get out, and FN was kind enough to send us some really cool stuff. I'll tell you what, I love FN. I own a FNS9. I mean, it's a great gun. It's one of my favorites, especially in that category. So we can kind of kick it off. Dale's got a couple in front of him. What do you want to talk about here?
Yeah, I mean, we have the 502 22 long rifle, and then we have the 509 Edge, and both were phenomenal to shoot. I mean, they really were. They handled great. The overall features on both guns, what you're getting with the FN package, and FN often over-engineers everything.
Yeah.
They are going to dive in. They're going to put the best barrel that they can in. A lot of the barrels that are in there is the same that they use for some of their full auto military machine guns, same steel and everything.
Yeah.
Now the 502 is made by Umarex in Germany, which they've been around for years making 22 long rifles, but they don't release anything without it working.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Talk about maybe the history, of FN and kind of where they fit in. They've always been, popular for, military, popular. You can kind of give a little background on that and kind of, how they've developed, over the years, and really, they're huge in the consumer market.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, their military background is pretty extensive. I mean, they made all the belt-fed machine guns for years now. It really good top quality stuff, and I think in the past they had more of a focus on their military side, but the commercial business has really taken off for them. And a lot of people have resonated. The FN 5.7s, like the PS90s and the 5.7 pistols were stuff that really, I think if there's any brand that really benefited from the video game world, it was probably FN.
I was going to reference like Call of Duty, man. You had the SCAR, you had the
but you go before that to. Okay, I'm geeking out a little bit for games. Nintendo 64. Whenever the GoldenEye game came out for Nintendo 64, was the first time that the P90 was introduced in that game.
I don't know if I played that, but wow.
Yeah, it's.
I was busy shooting real guns while y'all were playing video games. But.
We were nerding out. But it's true. Their offerings have always been very, very unique.
Yeah, they've been unique. They've kind of outside the box. But it's funny. I remember years ago, our boss, Flint, or his son, Quentin, who's like almost 30 now, but when he was a kid, when I first started, he knew all the FN guns from playing video games. And he'd come by the office and he'd be talking about them and everything. I'm like, how do you know about all this stuff? Because I know you didn't learn from your dad, but he's, oh, yeah, I know him from the games. And I can't tell you how many times dealers have told me that somebody who turned 21, 22 years old, finally was going in to purchase a gun, they wanted to see the FNs because that's what they grew up shooting on the video games.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job of I think getting in that market, and they've really taken off. And the commercial side of their business has really been successful.
It's so true. Back to the gaming thing. Now that I'm recalling, I don't really play much anymore, but back in the earlier iterations, I remember the 509. I remember the 5.7 being like carry options in the games. That's interesting. We need to investigate that. I wonder how all that comes to pass. I'd like to find out the business end behind that. But it's pretty cool.
I'm sure they license the imagery and stuff just like everything else. So.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
you can't play a game now. I'm sorry, we're geeking on this now.
Yeah.
Listeners,
we're gonna drift into movies.
Don't say us.
No. But how many times a SCAR is used? A SCAR heavy, the SCAR light. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy.
Well, these pistols are fantastic, and again, pretty aggressive grip on both of them. That's something we noticed. That seems to be I don't know if we call it a trend or not.
It is.
It seems to be kind of coming back.
Well, and polymer guns, it seems like they get a little bit more aggressive and more aggressive. And keep in mind, it's easy to knock that aggressiveness down.
Right.
Like a little sandpaper or whatever. You can tone it down, but it's a lot tougher to make it more aggressive.
Yeah.
So you'll get a gun stippled or whatever. Then you're voiding your warranty. you risk it not turning out the way you want.
Right.
And you're kind of stuck. So I think you're seeing a trend towards that. The Edge pistol is really geared towards that just all-around easy shooting gun. I was really impressed on the trigger on that gun. The mag well was easy to load.
Both triggers were extremely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, everything's going to be optics ready now.
Sure.
That's almost a given. The 502 is really cool. It's a single action only. It's not. People look at it and say, "Oh, it's just a double action gun." No, it's single. It's basically like a 1911 for practical purposes.
Right.
But the trigger pull on that gun is phenomenal. I mean,
it is.
I was shocked when I know we kind of ran it a couple, before we did some stuff on film and everything, and I was like, "Oh man, this gun's trigger is light."
Yeah.
And it was really easy to shoot. Threaded barrel from the factory. I like the fact that it doesn't have an adapter.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's straight 1/2x28.
Yeah, a lot of 22 pistols have a real skinny barrel.
Yep.
And you have to use an adapter to put it on there, and it's kind of funky. This gun is done right from the beginning. It's optics cut, so you have an optics ready 22. What a great gun for a kid to learn how to shoot on.
Absolutely. It's got suppressor height sights. It's got the loaded chamber indicator. I mean, it's all the modern bells and whistles you'd expect on.
And everything's ambidextrous. The magazine release, the safety is on both sides of the pistol, along with the slide stop is on both sides as well.
And this one's got the 10-round mag, but you can get it with a 15-round mag. This is slightly extended.
Mm-hmm.
FN was the first company to do the optics cut pistols.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the FNX 45. It was, I don't know when that gun came out, but it's been at least
it's been years
15 years ago maybe.
Yeah.
They were really the first ones to really do that. They were real ahead of the curve on all that.
Yeah.
And
kind of back to what we were talking about. It's a very innovative company.
It is.
It really is.
It is. Mm-hmm. And they did a really nice job. LAPD just adopted the 509 as their new duty pistol. That's not a small contract.
No, that's big
it's
time.
Pretty significant.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
They're really making a lot of inbounds on their handguns for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the handguns are great, but only to be rivaled by the long guns we got to shoot too. So we were talking about we'll save the SCAR for last. They've got their FN 15, the TAC 3. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
we got to shoot too. Their AR on their AR platform. So, fun, great. I mean, it's
another AR platform.
Yeah.
Extremely smooth.
Yeah.
Shooting gun, you don't hear the buffer spring kind of rattling in your ear whenever you shoot it. It just feels like an all around solid gun.
Well built.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it's quality parts.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. FN, they have really good barrels.
Yeah.
Their hammer forged barrels are great barrels.
Yeah.
High quality parts on these guns. It's a great, if you're looking for something that's, I consider it in that really awesome value, where you're not spending tons of money for a lot of stuff you probably really don't need.
Right.
But if you want a solid rifle that you really don't want to, you just want to slap an optic on it, a sling and a light and be done. The FN15 is a good place to start.
And it's got it's got everything. It's really got most of the bells and whistles you come to expect.
M-lock rails.
Yeah.
It's got. I love the grip on that gun.
Yeah,
it is. The grip is real nice textured on it. It's a little more feel. I was telling Dale, I absolutely despise the M6 A1 grip. I hate it. I change it. I've got a box of them, and I don't know why I even keep them. I guess maybe shoot them one day. But that doesn't have that, thank goodness. It's got a good grip on it.
Yeah.
And anyways, we had a lot of fun shooting that gun. It was really, really smooth. Real flat shooting. Not a lot of muzzle rousing.
It's a crowded space. The AR space is crowded, but FN is again a trusted brand. I mean, it's something you got to put in the mix if you're looking for. And again, with the price point, it's there. So.
It's one of those guns that's kind of my default for somebody who's wanting to get into an AR.
Yeah.
And I know that they want a good AR.
Yeah.
They don't want to fitz around with it too much. They just want to put a few things on it and be done with it, and something they don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
And buy with confidence. FN's one I usually recommend.
Didn't FN have a military contract building that rifle for the military?
Yep.
And then finally we got the SCAR, which it's just cool. Again, it's really a what's the word I'm looking for? An icon, for FN especially. And,
absolutely.
As we discussed with the games, things like that. But I love shooting that thing. I think it was smooth. It was soft. I mean, it really, and you guys, I think, mentioned the same. But
well, in a 308 platform on the Scar Heavy, it's one of the softest shooting 308 semi-autos out there.
Really is.
It really, really is. And the improvements that they made so that the charging handle, the cocking lever and everything isn't actuating back and forth.
Yeah.
That was a major improvement. So you can kind of have better hand placement on the form, so you're not trying to stay away from it.
The charging handle reciprocated when you fired, and that can cause issues, especially with slings and everything. It's just not really ideal. So there's this new iteration. It's a non-reciprocating charging handle, which is a big improvement.
When we first picked up, well, we carried FN for a while, but right when they introduced the Scar, I forget who the rep was at the time, but he came in and had one of their fully auto 5.56s. And for it being a piston-driven gun, we were just doing mag dump after mag dump after mag dump, and then taking the gun apart and passing a bolt around. And it was
wow.
I mean, it was warm.
Yeah.
But you do that with an AR, with a direct impingement, that thing's going to burn your hand.
Sure.
Yeah. But it was, it was just moderately warm. The gun runs so much cooler being a piston-driven gun.
Yeah. The Scar, which we shot the 17, which is the heavy, the 7.62.
Right.
It is really the consummate battle rifle now that's available out there.
Yeah.
It's really it took where the FN FAL and all these guns and really took it to the next level. It is, in my opinion, one of the smoothest shooting 7.62s out there.
Yep.
It's funny. I hadn't shot one in a while since we shot this one, and I kind of forgot how easy that gun shot.
Yeah.
And I forgot, and for some reason in my mind I kept thinking that gun's it's I like it, but it's heavy, it's bulky. That gun's sleek.
It's really not.
Oh yeah,
it's sleek. No. It's really not that heavy.
I was expecting, and I've held them before. I've never shot one, so that was cool. But yeah, when I picked it up, I was expecting it add 2 pounds to it.
Yeah,
and it wasn't there, which
was
nice. I was kind of expecting.
It's very soft shooting. Now this gun, it has a brake on it, so that helps. But I tell you what. I've kind of had to rethink my whole 7.62 thing. Going, man, I'm gonna have to get one of these.
Yeah,
I was really, really impressed with it. And one note, and it's funny. I was talking to our Scott, who does a lot of our returns and stuff. He said one thing you got to mention to everybody when you talk about the Scar, the new ones with the non-reciprocating bolt handles, the charging handle has a slight cant, like a bent to it. Mm. It's not bent. He said the first ones we shipped out, he had a couple of dealers call and say, "Oh man, my charging handle's bent. I need to send it back." It's like, no, it just changed the angle of it a little bit. So if you get one, charging handle is more than likely not bent. It's designed that way.
Yeah, I thought it had kind of an AK, the AK feel to it, but more stable and a little more smooth.
It's much tighter than an AK.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the round is similar, but that's kind of what I'm used to shooting at. I have an AK, but that I like to shoot for fun. But it just had a much richer feeling, I guess. Is what
to
it
me,
boils down to.
it's a much improved FAL, is what it is.
Right.
But it's just I forgot how good that gun was.
That doesn't ding up the casings.
Yeah, that's the G3s do that. The HKs, they'll wear that fluted bolt wears out the brass.
Yeah.
Now that gun, it was great.
And even the FN ALs, when it would eject, it'd put a dent.
Yeah.
In the brass.
That gun. I again, like I said, it's back on my radar now.
Yeah.
But it's a nice rifle.
Yeah, the 22 is hot. I mean that's great. Really, we thank FN for sending these to us, and we're gonna have some fun with them all week while they're in house here. So we've got SHOT Show around the corner, where it's coming up pretty fast.
Yeah.
So what about these? Leading up to that, I know you got to be working pretty hard right now. As maybe. Some new projects and exclusives. So anything to talk about?
Well, that's one thing that we did that we talked about quite a bit at the NASGW show was special projects, exclusive runs. A lot of good talks there. I think we'll probably do some line extensions on stuff that we've already done.
Cool.
And then also have a few things in the queue new for you. All you guys who like our Bearcat stuff, I got one coming I think you're going to like.
Oh, boy. There you go. A little teaser.
Yeah. I had to check Dale's pockets when we left the other day.
Yeah, I did get the pat down.
I thought this one might slip out with him. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
Really
That
cool.
one was cool. We've got we've got talked to some people that we haven't done special makeups with in the past.
That's always good.
Yeah,
I love adding new brands and manufacturers.
Some new stuff.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And it's funny because a lot of this stuff now, especially that we've kind of had what I consider kind of a 2-year pause on a lot of stuff that's been produced.
Yeah.
And some of these things have kind of fell off the wayside, and the manufacturers maybe alluded to, hey, we might just not make these anymore. And I'm like, hey, let's maybe tweak it a little bit, but then make it back as an exclusive gun. And so there's some good talks on that too. Ruger's still on track to have Marlin out pretty soon. I'm hoping we'll be talking about that maybe next month with some guns coming in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They did show us their first gun's going to be an 1895 SBL 4570.
Cool.
And they had one at the show. It was a line. It was production gun. It was not one that it wasn't a tool rule sample.
Prototype.
It was a real deal. I was super impressed.
Wow, cool.
I went through that gun pretty hard with a real judicious eye on that gun.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, they did it.
Good.
It looks great.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about what Ruger's got coming with Marlin.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting back to SHOT and seeing some of this stuff. I'm hoping a lot of it, I'm assuming a lot of it's going to be released, at the show.
Yeah, I think so. I think the next, for all you guys out there that are really tuned in stuff, the next 90 days, I think, is going to be a real flood of the things. So stay tuned. Be checking out, people's social media pages and stuff. There's going to be a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a couple new cartridges that I saw that pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty neat stuff.
Start saving your money. Tuck that Christmas money away. You're going to need it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. And the ammo manufacturers, and we don't do ammo, but the ones I talked to, seems like some of the 9mm and 5.56 is finally starting to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's still a real shortage of hunting ammo.
God, I'm really ready for that to go away. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing.
Hopefully by this time next year, that will be fixed.
Yeah.
It's funny, we've seen more 308 ammo than anything lately, and we've been selling a lot of 308 rifles.
Yeah. So, makes sense.
There you go.
You want to.
I know it makes you happy.
Oh yeah.
The 6.5. You're hoping that the 6.5 Creedmoor dies. It'll never die.
Don't start. No, now I'm looking to buy one, but. Anyways, so speaking of which, you guys you heading out hunting here pretty soon, huh?
Yeah, this weekend is a youth weekend. I can't make it up there.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, my oldest son is turning 16, so we got all that to deal with.
Oh,
a bunch of teenagers running around the house.
That sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Now I got.
You're getting out, I know.
Yeah, I got my 2 younger ones that'll be out this weekend.
That's awesome.
So they're all ready to go. We're all packed up, and then next week I'll be going to Wyoming. Try to kill a whitetail.
Oh, nice, nice.
With a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh, well, good for you. I have a 308 you can borrow if you need it.
That's okay.
Anyways, well, good guys. Good to catch up and visit a little bit. Good hunting. Good birthday party coming up. And until next time, aim higher.